Hey, good evening, viewers. In this tutorial, I'm going to be doing a sample Microsoft Excel question, and this is the cover photo that's going to be available on the video, and it's looking like this. If I open the cover photo, it is looking like this. Yeah, the cover photo is looking like this, and the video is about Microsoft Excel. The selected number in Senior 6 subsidiary ICT. Okay, so this is the sample question. It's going to be available in the description of the video for trial purposes. If you need to try out the exact number I'm approaching in this tutorial, kindly check the description of the video to get to really get question per question so that you can move along with me for practice purposes and for you to succeed in your practical exams, that is subsidiary ICT at advanced level. So the heading is sample Microsoft Excel question. It is video number 105 at the channel, video 105. So I've been recording a couple of videos the past days, that is there's this video about offline advertisement cards. There's a video about database A level. This one is senior 4, etc. etc. There are many videos I've been doing at the channel, and they're all about ICT senior 4 and senior 6 classes, as you see at your screen currently. So those are some of the videos I've been doing at the channel. Okay, back to the trial question I'm going to be approaching. Here it is. Like I said, I'm going to be putting uh, the file, this very file you're seeing at your screen, in the descriptions that you can download it and practice, or you can inbox the numbers you see at the channel so that you can get the very file for practice purposes. Now, the very first question is open a spreadsheet file saved as candidates.xls and save it as spread. So I want to create a folder, of course, where I'm going to be working from, and I'm going to name it Kasozi Marvin Mark, and then I can open it and I put my file I need. According to the question, the file I need is called candidates.xls, and I'm supposed to save it as spread. So I'm having the file at the support folders I use for senior 6, and if you need the very file for practice purposes, again, you can check in the description of the video to download that file. If you find challenges downloading the file, you can inbox the numbers at the channel so that you can get the very file for practice purposes. So the file I need is called candidates, and it's under my folder that's having support files. So candidates is the file I need. I'm going to just copy it to my folder. I copy candidates. I copy it and take it to my folder. I paste it there, and I do the changes as required in the videos. I can paste, and of course the question wanted me to rename it as spread. So after copying it, I'm going to just rename it as spread. So rename as spread. I'm looking for a name. Rename. Let me do it again. Right click at it. I go to show more options, and then I look for rename. Rename where are you? Rename where are you? Rename. Okay, rename. And then I can rename it as spread, and I can open it. I see its contents. I have this category of spreadsheet, but I prefer using a normal spreadsheet we all use in secondary schools. That is Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to open it with Excel instead of Mobi Sheets. So I can open it with Excel 2024 and I can do the required changes as required in the questions. So this is it. This is my spreadsheet that I've just loaded. So the next question is copy the work to sheet 2 of your workbook and carry out the following tasks. So I want to copy my work to sheet 2, so I want to just go to my spreadsheet. I highlight whatever I want to copy. You highlight by use of the white cross. So after highlighting, you copy, right click, select copy, click at sheet 2, right click in cell A1 and paste. So it means I'm done copying to sheet 2. So work at sheet 1 is already there and work at sheet 2 is already there. Next question is change the page orientation to landscape. But before I change the page orientation to landscape, it's better for me to rename the sheets. Let me first rename the sheets. Double tap at sheet 1 and I rename it original. Original. Maybe if I get questions tempting me to rename sheets, I will do so. But for me to be on the safer side, let me rename the sheets to original and then to duplicate. This one here is going to be renamed to duplicate. Yeah. The next question is change the page orientation to landscape. Now I'm going to change the page orientation to landscape, but note that if you copy your work from sheet 1 to sheet 2, you need to do whatever changes on the duplicate sheet. You don't do the changes at the original sheet. You do whatever changes you attempted to do at the duplicate sheet. So I want to go to the duplicate sheet and do the changes I am attempted to make. So or rather the changes I'm tempted to make. So at the duplicate sheet, I'm going to click at layout, then I look for landscape and orientation, so that I give the sheet a landscape orientation. So if you see that at your screen landscape is checked, it means we can kick to the next question. C, add a column of total and calculate the total marks for each pupil. Now again, I'm going to calculate the total, of course, from the duplicate sheet. I'm going to put a new label that is total, and then I put a formula to add the total of the pupils. Now, um, if the question doesn't tempt you to get total by use of a function, you can use a formula to get total. If the question is open like this one, the part C, add a column for total and calculate the total marks for each pupil. You can just add by use of a function or by use of a formula, anything you want. Maybe if the question tempts you to use a function, so you use a function if required. But this one is open, so I'm going to use anything I want. For this case, I want to use a formula. I'm going to add this D2. Of course, to get total, I add D2, I add D2, I add F2, and I add D2. I hit enter, and of course, I autofill to the last learner so that I can get the total. Next is add a column for average and calculate the average mark to 2 decimal places for each pupil. So I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet, and of course I'm at the original sheet. Of course I'm here at the original sheet. I'm going to go to another column. I add a label average. After adding a label average, I find the average of each pupil. A pupil is a learner in primary school in Uganda from primary 1 to primary 7. And average, how could we get the average of those learners if at all we have their marks? So average, it's going to be equals, I type average, I leave, I open a bracket, and I, of course, I get the total over the number of subjects. Those are 4 subjects. I close. The total is in H2. The subjects are 4, of course. I hit enter, and there's a mistake I've made. I'm putting one arrow here, a foreign object. So I want to hit enter, and I drag the very last learner. That is the average, but at the question I wanted my average to be at decimal places. I'm going to just highlight again and go to home. I choose decimals by simply increasing them so that I make 2. This one's a 3. So I reduce to 2. That's the average that is set to 2 decimal places. Next is add a column for position and find the position based on the average marks for each pupil in class. So I want to find position based on the average mark of each learner in class. So that is the position label typed. And I'm going to type a function that can return the position of learners basing on the average mark. So it's going to be equals rank. Rank is a function name for position. Equals rank. I open brackets. I want to base on average. That's why I tap at average. Average is in I2. I press function 4 on the keyboard to lock I2. Sorry about that. I was at equals rank, open brackets, I2. So typing I2, I put a comma. I repeat the very I2. I'm putting I2 because I am basing on average to rank and my average is in I2. So I type I2, I put a comma, I repeat I2, I press function 4 on the keyboard, that F4 key on the keyboard, it's near F3 and it's also near F5, it's in between F3 and F5. So I press that key so that I2 gets locked and then I press the I press the shift key and the key that is on the right of letter L to generate the full columns. The two dots, it's a dot and a dot. It's not a dot and a comma, but it's a dot and a dot. Yeah. Where does my average stop? My average stops at I21 here. So I type I21 and I just log it as well by pressing the same function for key. So that I21 is locked. I put a comma and I type a 0. 0 means descending. Someone with the highest average should be number 1, from big to small. Someone with the highest average should be number 1. If you want to do the opposite, someone with the highest average to be number last, you put a 1. But normally, someone with the highest average should be number 1. That's why you're putting a 0. So I'm going to close. I hit enter and I drag to the very last learner. Yeah. So you realize that there's a learner who's number 1 and that is Cheptai, because Cheptai has the highest average in the class. So Cheptai is qualifying to be number 1 in my spreadsheet uh, according to the according to the rank function. Cheptai is number 1. And number 2 is this person here, that is Ali, because Ali has 79, slightly below Cheptai. So that is how we find the position in Excel. Next is add a column for comment and use the if function to automatically generate a comment passed for a learner with an average above or equals to 60 and failed for one with an average below 60. That is letter F of the questions. Okay, so at letter F, I want to go back to my spreadsheet and I type comment. Because I'm doing comment, I type a label comment and I comment on the learners averages. So in the question they were saying that we add a comment that is automatically going to display passed for a learner with an average above or equal to 60. So I'm going to type equals if I open a bracket. The logical test is for a learner to be above or equal to 60 as average, they get a comment passed. So our average is in I2, like what we're doing in rank. It's in I2. So if I2 is above or equal to 60, comma, now that is the logical test that if I2 here is above or equal to 60, you don't leave any space. You type it without any space. If I2 is above or equal to 60, comma, what happens? In quotes, the quotes are generated by holding shift and that key that is on the right of letter L. You jump one key and there's that key there. It generates two symbols at a time, not something like this. If you're keying with your screen, not something like this. That is wrong. The key is generating two symbols at a time. It's why you type the value if true. So if it is true that I2 is greater or equal to 60, comma, what happens? Someone has passed. I close the quotes, comma. What other logical test are we dealing with? We are dealing with even those people who are who are below the 60. So if someone is below 60, if anything in I2 is less than 60, comma, yes, what happens? Failed. I close the quotes, then I close the bracket two times because I've opened the bracket two times or I've used if two times. I hit enter and I drag to the very last line. We see that this person failed, that this person called Alex failed because Alex is having an average below 60. Alex failed there. Yes. And also this person here, that is Kayondo, and also failed because Kayondo got that that average that is below 60. I think the rest passed because they are above 60. Because of if I'm hurrying through the process, you can rewind the video and really see what I was trying to explain with the if and the rank. G is the next part is a G that is use the count if function to find. So we're going to use the count if function to find um, number of pupils whose names begin with letter A in cell B22. Let us find number of pupils whose names begin with letter A in cell B22. So B22 is right here, but I could type a label first. Maybe I can type names beginning with A. Yeah, names beginning with A. I can even click at this and I can go to rap. I'm looking for rap. I think rap is here. Yeah, number of names of names beginning with A in B22 here. So I want to count them like equals if. Count if is a function that can count uh, names beginning with a letter. It can count people below a certain value, etc. So for now, I'm counting names that begin with A. So count if the syntax of the function flows like what you're seeing at your screen. The syntax of the function is equals count if range criteria. So in other words, what range are you counting from? I'm counting the names, but the names are running in which range? The names begin from the range B2. Alfred is the first name on top. Not name. Name is just a label. Alfred is the first name. That is B2. Uh-huh. I used two dots, full colons, B22, B21. So that's the range of the names I'm trying to count from. I put a comma, then after putting a comma, I open the quotes. Again, in the syntax, I have something like criteria. Criteria means what are you trying to do in that range? I'm counting names that begin with A. So I want to put A, and then I put star. I close the quotes, I close the bracket, I hit enter. In other words, there are four learners having a letter A that begins their name. I think it's one, two, three, four. There are four learners that have a letter A beginning their name. Another one is we should count the number of people who got D1 in math, given that a D1 is at 75. number of people who got a D1 in math, given that a D1 is at 75. Okay, so I'm going to count learners who got a D1 in math, and I'm going to do that in cell F22. F22 is, I think here. Yeah, F22 is here. Maybe here I can type a label like math D1s. Yeah, math D1s, and here I can type the function I want because this is the column of math. So I can type equals count if, so that I count those learners who got a D1 in math. Count if, open brackets. What's the range of math? The range of math is not the range of the name I was dealing with. The range of math has changed. It starts from F2 and it ends at F21. That is the range from F2 to F21. Put a comma, open quotes, put the criteria you want. The criteria we want is learners who got above 75. So I want to put above or equal to 75. I close quotes, I close the brackets. So the criteria is above or equal to 75 because the question, someone to get a D1 in math is supposed to have a 75 and above. So I hit enter and there are 7 people who passed math. Okay. Next is use the autofilter function to sort out those who had a D1 in math. Save it as MTC in your folder. So they want us to filter those who had a D1 in math, those ones who are above 75 in math, and we save it as MTC in our folder. So I'm going to just start with filtering. When I'm filtering, I always use the criteria here. So I'm going to highlight my work. Let me first highlight my work. Yes, I may not highlight the count ifs I've just done, but if you want, you can also highlight them. So I've highlighted the work. I right click and copy. I go to sheet 3 and paste. So my work is pasted to sheet 3, but I'm just filtering those who passed math with a 75 and above. So I'm going to just rename my sheet math D1s. Math D1s. And of course, if I want to filter, I click at label, maybe I click at index, then I look for sort and filter under the home tab. It's here. I click at filter, and then I click at this icon that is near math because I want to filter math. And then I just tick only the values that are above 75. I only tick values that are above 75 and I uncheck all those values that are below 75. I think I've only checked those that are above 75. I'm going to click OK and I remain with only people who passed math with 75 and above. So those are the people who passed math, and seems the question they didn't want me to stop there, but they wanted me to take those people uh, to, uh, to a new file. They wanted me to take people who got a D1 to a new file in my folder, and then I save it as MTC. So after filtering them, I am going to just highlight this once again. My finished product, Ctrl C, copy, or you can right click and choose copy. Create a new spreadsheet, Ctrl N. After creating a new spreadsheet, you paste Ctrl V. So I've pasted them and they are at a new sheet, and I want to just save them as, according to the question, I'm saving them as MTC in my folder. So I want to use Ctrl S to save them. File name, I type MTC, and more options. Or for some other computers with an operating system of Windows 10, Windows 7, you look for the location. More options, or location, or savers, I save as, I browse, and then I look for my folder I'm using for the video. It's under desktop and it's renamed Kasozi Marvin Mark. I open it and I can repeat the renaming MTC and I can press save. MTC is saved in my folder. I can sample that by opening my folder here. If I open it, I'm already having MTC saved in my folder separately from spread. So I've been operating spread, and the spread is right here. No, I don't want to use Mobi Sheets. I want to use the normal spreadsheet. So I don't want Mobi Sheets. I want the normal spreadsheet. That is it. That is here. And um, number, it's letter I. I'm heading to I. I is apply a green line. Apply a green line color. All borders outline to all the cells with data. Whatever editing I'm making it from the duplicate. The original is still intact. I'm making whatever changes at the duplicate. So I want to highlight all my work. After highlighting all the work, I go to all borders. I first give my work all borders, and then I go to borders again. I choose more borders, and at a color, I give it green. Green is something like this, and I could give it a thick line like this. I click at outline even inside. So green is thick inside and outside. This is the preview. It could look like this, and if I click OK, the green color is all over my work. Yeah, that is it with the letter I. That is green all borders at my cells. Next is J, add a photo of your name right aligned. So if I want to add a photo of my name right aligned, I'm going to click at insert. I look for headers and footers. Mine are under text. I click at header and footer. I want a footer. So I'm going to click at go to footer, and I want it to the right around here. I type my name as a as a footer to the right. As well as the Marvin Mark. Yes, and I can put maybe a personal number if at all I want. It's whenever I can use a personal number like that. And it's on the right, though my spreadsheet is now divided. In most spreadsheets, if you put a footer, it is divided. Um, so if I want to go back to my normal work because the footer is already there, I'm going to scroll by use of this bar. I scroll back on top, and I even scroll to the left so that I see the work. I could even reduce the columns so that I have all my work on one sheet. Positions I could reduce average, I could reduce science. I reduce columns so that I have my work on a sheet. So that is my work with a footer on the right, and it's on one sheet. Part K is add a new row above the table and rename the sheet as final. Add a new row above your table. So if I want to add a new row, I right click at number one, I go to insert. A new row is going to be created. And rename your sheet as final. Double tap at the sheet, or you can right click at the sheet and then select rename, or you can double click and then you rename it final. Next is merge cells A1 to K1, center the contents both horizontally and vertically. So they want me to merge the cells from A1 to K1. Actually, at letter M, this is the title they want me to put. It's promotional results. This is the title I should put at my row I've created. I'm going to highlight it. After highlighting, this is a mistake learners do. If you're highlighting a row, just highlight the row up to the last column you dealt with. You don't click at one and then you merge and center. That is wrong because you've highlighted the entire row of the sheet. So you should have you should just highlight from the first column up to the last column using the white cross. Select merge and center. Merge and center is here. Merge and center, and then you type the heading. For now, our heading is promotional results 2018. I saw a feature center the content both horizontally and vertically. If I want to center the content both horizontally and vertically, I'm going to just click at this again. I right click at the newly created row, and then I choose format cells, and then I choose alignment. Horizontal, I choose center. Vertical, I choose center. I press OK. Yeah, that is how we can deal with centering the content horizontally and vertically. And the title is already there. Change the font size of the title to 20. Change the font size of the title to 20. Double tap at the title. Give it a font size 20. Yeah. Seems it's no longer in the center. I'll deal with that. 20. Change the font face of the title to Arial Black. Arial Black. Arial Black is here. What else? Change the font color of the title to blue. Colors. Choose blue. Blue is here. What else? Um, Change the fill color of the title with the yellow background. Fill color is here. Let me first click at the row. I choose fill. Click at the row. Choose fill. The fill should be yellow. So the fill is yellow. And the last one, one of the last questions, because fill is here. Save your work as you save your work now as your name and index number. So I can close this and then I click at save so that I go back to my folder. I can close everything I've been dealing with apart from, I think, let me close this also. Apart from the software I'm using to record, and this may be, but if I want to rename my file, I should close it because you can't rename something that is open. So I close it, I right click at it, I renamed it as spread, but they want me to rename it as my name and index number. So I'm going to choose rename from the drop down list. I choose rename, I rename it Kasozi Marvin Mark and personal number. So that is the renaming. And the very last question is print your work on sheet 2 only. Make a printout of sheet 2 only. So if I want to print sheet 2, of course, I'm going to reopen this work. I don't want to use Mobi Sheets. Let me open it with a spreadsheet. So I can close Mobi Sheets and I right click at it. I open it with a spreadsheet and I print. Whenever you're printing spreadsheet, you should print the sheets you're dealing with. So for now, I want to print sheet 2 only. So I want to select sheet 2 and I use the Control P on the keyboard. And whenever I'm printing my work, I select the sheet I want to print. If you want to print sheet 1, you click at sheet 1, Control P, you print sheet 2. For now, I want to print sheet 2. Select sheet 2, Control P, or click at File, here, select Print, and choose a printer. I want to choose this printer since it is offline, but I'll make a printout, of course. And instead of no scaling, I fit sheet on one page so that my work is all seen on one page. Yeah, I can use F4 paper. Yeah, you see my footer is visible, all my work is visible. And I can make a print out of my work since the work looks so nice with green grid lines, the fill color, the headings, etc. etc. So I choose the number of copies I want and I select print. Yeah, I'll put my printer online so that I can print. But that is it with the question I wanted to share with you about spreadsheets. These questions are important, more important to the senior six class. So endeavor to do these questions. See what I'm doing. Follow the support folders. Follow the different questions, etc. etc. Thank you for a lot of stuff you're doing at my channel, like the views, like people subscribing, the comments, the feedback, etc. etc. Endeavor to reach out those numbers for help in case you want anything. Endeavor to reach out to those numbers for help. More advanced numbers have been done in the previous weeks, like this number here. It's about MS PowerPoint Senior 5 class can do this question. This one is a database number about Access Senior 6 class can do that, etc. etc. There are many numbers of advanced level I'm doing. This one is a paper that was subsidiary ICT lab theory last year. Endeavor to reach out all those numbers I do at my channel. Thanks for viewing this tutorial for June 2025. Thanks for your time for the 40 minutes I've been using for recording. I don't know whether they are 40 or, but yeah, that's it with the tutorial. A good evening and bye bye.